what's up? This is Hannah with the Kayak. We are here with the Expanders today, all the way from Los Angeles, California. They are here with us tonight in Wilmington on a stop on their Hotting Up tour in support of Hirie and Iration. So the first thing I want to talk about is the roots of your band. Can you tell me a little bit about how you guys came together and how you've evolved into the Expanders we know today?
Yeah, well, kind of started with Devin and I. We grew up on the same street and, played music together first and started playing punk rock. And then we slowly started getting into reggae and continued playing music together. And then once we started playing some shows out in LA, the rest of the band kind of formed around us. Our bass player Cheeky's joined shortly after our first few LA shows, and he brought John Asher, our drummer, into the mix. And Roy is the newest member, but yeah, I just kind of started with a super nerdy appreciation of Jamaican reggae music and wanting to play that because no one was playing.
Yeah.
And we spent the first, the band started in 1999, and we spent like the first decade of this century backing old Jamaican artists when they would come from Jamaica. So the format in Jamaican music was always a little different than other places. Instead of like the singer and the band being a self-contained unit, it was more about recording. So a singer would go to a studio and there'd be a house band. So the band wouldn't necessarily be the singer's band. So the result of that was when the singer would tour, he would have to hire bands in cities he would go to. So in LA, we kind of became like the go-to band for old Jamaican artists who were, who had been around in the foundation days. So that's really where we cut our chops.
Yeah, I think that when you hear the Expanders, you do think of like the vintage roots reggae style. That's what I think of anyway. Do you guys feel like you have a duty to kind of preserve that sound and carry it on, or?
I wouldn't call it a duty, but I would say a passion, hardcore passion to, I don't feel like I have to. I want to tell people like, hey, don't forget about this stuff. Like all this stuff you're playing right now came from this little tiny island in a little tiny section of the island, and that's where it all comes from, and it's like, don't forget about that and give those guys respect,
Yeah, it came from the ghettos of Jamaica, and Jamaica was the first stop for the slave ships before they even got to America. It's a heavy history there of colonialism and oppression and racism, and it's militant black music is really what it is. And so you can't, at least we feel it would be irresponsible to separate that from the music, So you hear a lot of people talk about, in America, and American reggae bands talk about positive vibes and love, and yes, like that is all a part of it, but that's within the context of uplifting a people and doing so through love and positive vibes. But it's still a fight, it's still a struggle against oppression, and you don't want to lose sight of that. At least we don't, So that's what we try to keep that sentiment in the music at all times. And I think people appreciate that. We get a good response when we say things on stage, people say thank you for saying that. So it's cool, that's why we love the reggae scene, because people in it are ready to talk about that kind of stuff and ready to listen, and so it's
and we have a platform and an opportunity to send information and inform people and tell it's not a responsibility, but to give good, throw a bunch of good out there, and we have a good platform to do that.
Any new music coming up that we can look forward to?
We've been touring so much these last 2 years that we haven't really been able to get in the studio except to finish Hustling Culture. But we have, between the first album and Hustling Culture, we put out a cover album that's a free download. People go to our website. It's called Old Time Something Come Back Again, and it's our versions of old Jamaican music that we love. So that's a free download. So we're planning on volume 2 of that, working on songs for that. We also have been talking for years about doing an acoustic album, because as John mentioned, the band started with him and I, and it started as an acoustic situation and it grew from there. But we're always warming up backstage doing acoustic stuff and practicing harmonies, and people seem to respond pretty well to that. And we've done some acoustic shows in the last few years, so we want to put out an acoustic record, put out the volume 2 of the cover album, put out some dub stuff. Roy is a great engineer, and so we're trying to get him to like mix some dub stuff for us. yeah, we got a lot of recording stuff coming up.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And what's their website so people can download it now?
Theexpanders.net. Our merch store is on there, our tour dates, the free album download is on there. Theexpanders.net. And of course we're on all the social media.